Did you know boys and girls, okay, have a different ratio of peripheral to focus retina cells, ganglion cells? Okay, now most people, this is not even in most textbooks. It is in a heck of a lot of scientific data from a lot of the white papers that I read and when I do my research. So did you know it actually is the opposite of what John Gray says, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. He says women are more peripheral. Well, I'm telling you, science proves the opposite. Women are more focused. This is why goal-setting techniques, plan your work, work your plan, compartmentalize, do not work on women. Now, most coaches and personal development programs are about setting goals, planning your work, work your plan, be consistent. It doesn't work for women. This is why women are burning out. This is why women are feeling like failures. This is why women keep coming back to a lot of personal development events. Think about it. Our retina cells, right? So how we perceive, how we see the world from the minute we're born, okay, and however we work within a womb as well. But what happens is when we enter the world, we open our eyes, we see the entire world differently. We notice different things. We're looking at the same thing, but we see them differently, okay? A male and a female see the world differently. So they perceive all of their issues through different sets of filters. How have we got this far in psychology, even psychiatry, right? If you wind back to the beginning of time, no one has even noticed this, that genders require different therapies. Because, and also through my research in the men and women's brain difference, the fact that the men have more M ganglion cells, they're actually the peripheral cells, they're naturally calmer than us. Then they run hormones through their body, testosterone, which is quite a firm, they don't have fluctuations like we do in a month and in different stages of our life, as we enter puberty and then in our 30s and then premenopausal and then menopausal and at the end after we've gone through menopause and come out the other side. This affects our emotions, this affects our perceptions. The fact that we have focal cells means a lot in this industry, because in the psychological mental health industry, females need female designed formulated solutions and males need male formulated solutions. It makes sense when you understand this. It really, really does. And when I was doing the innovation of re-engineering Creatrix to be Innovatrix, so for Creatrix, my amazing therapy, that is painless, really fast, and breaks into generational cycles, to make that work for boys, even not just the measurement tools and the tool itself had to be altered, but the pre-assessment and how to analyze the pre-assessment also had to change. Because for women, they're coming out with a lot of verbiage of what's happening, and we need to shrink it down, package it really well, and then work on that package, and it's fast tracks transformation. But with men, they give us a big fat package, but we don't know what's in it. So it's like we've got to do the opposite. We've actually then got to have a therapy that unpacks and brings it all out for them to know it exists, for us then to pre-package it again. So everything that come out of my research during that time of studying the male gender more and realizing what's really, really different. So women also have more white matter than men, and that's the communication within the brain. So if they were to slice a brain in half, a lot of it we've all seen images, haven't we, like this big grey swirly squiggles. Well, if you slice that down the middle, within the grey squiggles is white squiggles. It was once thought in history that men were smarter than women because they just had a bigger brain. Bigger equals smarter. But actually, it ain't the case, right? Okay. That's back in the days when they thought the world was flat. All right. So if you cut a brain, there's this white matter, and that is what transfers energy, communication. Now, if you slice it, okay, just like a walnut, there's the part that joins the left and right hemisphere. So in that set, what is extremely different and very important to understand is there's way more white matter in a woman's, what do you call it? Can't think of the word at the moment, but corpus callosum. So through the part that joins, right? So there's the left hemisphere, the right of a walnut. There is more white matter, which means women surf left, right brain more. That's what we do. So if we have a frontal left, I'm just thinking how this video is looking to you, but the left frontal cortex of the brain, what's really happening there is that's where we do all of our coming up with solutions, but we make our best choices, we make our best decisions, we can weigh things up, we can find solutions and create solutions to problems. So that's our intelligence center of our brain, frontal left cortex. But if a male and a female both have a frontal left cortex stroke, what happens is the male rarely, very rarely, is likely to speak again as well as a woman can. And the reason is all the words went with the stroke. And because they only have kind of left brain wording, which doesn't contain a lot of the right brain, is where we get to label a lot of stuff, where we get to emotional and feel and dance around and find, all more words. So what's happening is the man and woman both have a left brain stroke. The woman is more likely to talk again, but she won't describe everything the same old way. So what happens is she surfs, ducks over to the right brain, finds new ways of describing that thing because she's so artistic. And some men too, like when I say women, I mean 4 out of 5 women and 1 out of 7 men are like that as well, like the woman, right brain. There's all this thing out there about left and right brain. Well, it runs by science. Biologically, you've either got a lot more white matter or you don't. Plain and simple. If you've got more white matter in your corpus callosum, then what that means is you're a left-right brain surfer and you'll duck over to the creative side, grab what you need to take it back over and then bring it out in your language. So it's extreme opposite of what John Gray says in Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. So we've got a lot to learn if we actually link this to scientific evidential data to get, through research that actually has occurred. And there is a lot of come on. We know men and women's issues are different, right? Why would we assume if you understand that hormones create emotion, because they do. Testosterone really helps us be more angry and external in our emotional expression. And if you give us more estrogen, we go inside and we cry more and we contemplate more. So obviously, and then there's progesterone as well, which is our stand up. So women, they can inject us with progesterone and we have more confidence. That's to say an actual chemical can be put in us, and that's what happens. So because progesterone and estrogen are a natural dance we make every month, and there's different amounts happening and blah, 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 like this, and then there's testosterone, and then we perceive focally, of course that's going to add into the stress. We're seeing it play out now as adrenal fatigue. How many men do you know with adrenal fatigue? All right. Why? Because we're already too focused, and then we're adding pressures of goal setting and things like in business, women will burn out, absolutely burn out. It's almost like it's written in the stars, baby. The writing's already on the wall. If you are goal setting, tracking that goal and focused on a goal, you will burn out. If you're trying to be consistent when your hormones are not consistent, that control your emotions and your perception and how you see the world, of course you're going to burn out because you're adding focus. You need to step away from focus and understand peripheral so that you can allow and be led. Girls, success for us is a lot easier. Men's way of doing it is men's way of doing it. We will burn out when we use their software programming, which is the processes in existence, the therapies in existence, the personal development tools in existence. They're designed by men. So though all of that stuff in a female system, fries our circuits. Okay, so all we've been needing is to step away from adding more focus. We need a lot of focus to be able to recognize our young, the cry of our baby. We need to have that focus to be able to understand, is this baby's cry? I need to focus right down on this baby to know, is this baby's cry hunger or sickness? You know? So we're naturally designed that way. A man is designed in peripheral so he can go hunting and he'll see a movement in the bush over there. So for his safety, because one of his jobs is to protect and provide. So, you know, that's naturally in his nature. Ours is to nurture and bond with the young for its longevity. So we've each got our roles. Not one is better than the other. Not one is more valuable than the other. They're just different. And when we understand this difference, we can come back together united, and I'll call it gender harmonics. No, you can't use that word. I've trademarked it, okay? But gender harmonics is both sexes. Gender is something we self-identify as. And I'm using the word gender when I really mean sex. You're either born with a uterus or not, okay? With a uterus, every cell in your body is gender-coded. Every cell. They can cut a mummified from, you know, ancient Egypt days and tell it whether it was a female or male. Every cell in your body is gender coded. They call sex coded, I should say. But they call it the 1% difference, as if it doesn't matter. 1% difference? It's the most important 1% if you're going to try and help a man or help a woman through their emotional stuff. It's got to be done differently. How they're categorized. Men have all categories. Everything's in a box. A really good video to jump over to YouTube and watch Mark Gungor, The Tale of Two Brains. Just click through for the 15-minute version and you'll just see where he just sums it up. Men are very good at compartmentalizing. That's why they say the 7 areas of life. Women don't have areas of life. Come on. We have a relationship issue. We take it out on the kids. We feel it in all areas of our life. We can't separate ourselves from that. Whereas a man, he will go to work, but believe me, he ain't thinking of you when he goes to work. He's not thinking of his relationship when he goes to work to get away from it, and he 100% gets away from it. And when he walks in your door, back home, he 100% comes back into that. Poor bugger, he can't, you know what I mean? Like, their boxes are so separate, they don't even touch, right? And they have a nothing box where they're in this calm state at all times. And we need to create that for ourselves in this modern day world, because we're already a focused being. The more focus we get, the more we're likely to burn out, okay? And so, you know, what we want to do is not add more focus. We need to bring in peripheral. Peripheral is the state of activating your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the state of pure healing and your original design, ideal design, where all your organs function normally, okay? Sympathetic, S for stress, sympathetic stress, okay? So that's when you're activating the nervous system in a way, in flight or fight, they call it. But flight or fight is even not a gender thing. We don't run away from our young. If we're being attacked, we don't start fighting and run. We got our young. We will hover over and nurture and protect and gather the other women and the other children. We're going to gather. So the women's is called tend and befriend. We don't even have the same stress response. So are we being treated the same, or should there be more research? Do you even know this? Most female research done on females in labs is actually done on castrated boy mice as the female test subject, and that has been allowed to be called female in research data. Okay, the female. No, it wasn't a female. It was a boy castrated mouse. And they said, well, the results are the females reported this difference, or we noticed this difference in our female test subjects in an actual white paper. They don't even have to say, sorry, it was actually a castrated boy mouse, but we're calling it a female. And look, more than 70% of female research is still done on actual boy animals in animal testing. So why? You want to know why? Did you ever see the Oprah Winfrey's interview back when she was on Oprah TV? She interviewed a scientist, and she said to him, "Why won't you test on females?" And he said, "Because you can't." She goes, "Why not?" He said, "Well, they have a cycle, and mice in particular, rodents actually have a cycle that it happens all the time, and it's going around. So we would have to know each mouse's individual cycle, and then we would have to discount all those elements to be able to measure in our measurement data in a lab. But guess what? No one's even created measurement devices in science to measure anything that they measure now, but for a female that takes into consideration the hormones. So have they actually not even been studying the right part? So maybe the female's hormones is a contributor in all things, because our hormones are just the fuel that runs this beautiful, amazing thing. We're the ocean, the guys are the ship, but we're all at ship school. If you go to personal development, they're teaching you how to be a good ship, how to navigate, how to not hit the rocks. We're the ocean. We need to go to ocean school. And do you tame an ocean? No. You don't try to tame an ocean. If you're an ocean, you want to be an ocean without feeling bad about being an ocean, for a start. So do you even understand what you are, let alone who you are? So the first thing that we need to be educating in the personal development world is what we are. What we are, not who we are. Only then can we fix who we are. Okay, so a little bit of an educational difference on what makes us different. This is what makes me different. It's one of my points of difference is gender and epigenetics. So if epigenetics is not factored into the design of the modality you use, you are not going to break the cycle long term. Plain and simple. I'm really, really sorry to say. It's got to be in the design. Okay, that's why past lives, all that stuff. Look, it might set you free in your belief system. You might believe it sets you free, and that's more likely what is actually setting you free, because epigenetically you are a physical being. You might be a spiritual being having a physical experience like you believe, a lot of people believe, and that's fine, and that may actually be true. But what's actually the symptom that's running the negative cycle that's unhappy is the physical one. That's here and now. Okay, this is the symptom of epigenetics, regardless of other souls and all that sort of stuff that you might believe that you're coming from that past lives over there. But in actual fact, what we absolutely know as a fact is epigenetics. You were not just given that knobby knees that runs in your family, or that nose, or those eyes, or the colour of the eyes, or whatever, or the skin tone or whatever. I mean, where did that start? Where does your nose start from? Did it start in this lifetime when you were born? No. So if your therapy isn't working epigenetically, where something actually really did originate from, then we now know, because epigenetics passes on the unresolved traumas that they never had resources back in the day, until you gain those resources in this physical body and this conscious, unconscious mind that's having this physical human experience right here, right now. You're not going to actually break the cycle. This soul's not going to get its learnings in this lifetime if it's not done through human breakthrough. You're a human having a human experience. No matter what you believe, and that's not a belief, that's a fact. So whether you're still a soul expressing through whom, whatever, that's not what we're actually talking about. We're not saying none of that exists. We're just saying if you don't work on what actually does exist as a fact, then you're always going to be disappointed. You're always going to go back. Something's always going to regenerate. Energy healing will regenerate. It has to. Unless you can change your nose and you don't go back to where the nose originally started and fix whatever, and speak at that level to this person through your therapies and through your modalities, you're not going to break cycle. You, your mother, your grandmother, we're all just symptoms. We're all just byproducts of where it triggered. I don't know whether you saw it either, but on Current Affair a few years back, I remember watching a little boy who was 6 years old who had this extremely rare cancer. And when they interviewed and the doctors did their research, that massive research went into play, because they're like, this child has had exposure to a very strong toxin that causes this particular cancer. Well, the little boy hadn't been exposed, and they tracked it, and they said, well, the only exposure was 4 generations back. It just happens to be playing out now. So that's what epigenetics is: emotionally and mental traumas traveling through, waiting to the resources, waiting to one of the human descendants actually get their resources that was always needed. Yeah, so to break that pattern, the resources to deal with that emotional and mental issue. So that's everything that I'm about, a little bit from me. Whether it makes sense to you, I hope so. I do speak in layman's terms. I see things very simply, and that is my gift. So I can just see what the problem is. We've got psychology, biology, we've got endocrinology, which is hormones, and nobody's talking to each other. But we are one. So it's time to come back and bring those things back, right? And then look at our sex and address things. And that's everything I've brought together, and am now bringing in tools and solutions according to bringing all that back in. And what happens is when we address the whole system and we go with this way, and considering all the elements that are actually we know exist, and we do the process I've designed epigenetically, what happens is we break the cycle. It's painless. It's even fun. Sounds weird, hey, because we're dealing with severe traumas, like people have been in severe traumas. The tool itself is fun. So we put them through this thing. It breaks the pattern. We don't know. People's pee smells. Their hormones read differently in testing. We have people we've got a woman, a psychologist. She actually runs Allied Health Centre, and she actually has a lot of psychologists in there. And for 10 years, she's had a locked elbow, and in Creatrix, her elbow unlocked. All we did was Creatrix. All we did was work on a mind block. So how does this all work? We don't know. But by bringing everything together, by making sure the tool was developed in alignment with all of these things, the hormones change immediately. So which came first, chicken or the egg? Which came first? Hormones lead to emotion. But what if we change and we work at this, not emotions, but beliefs, emotions, perception level at the very root, then that changes the hormones reading back in the body. Incredible what I've discovered here. I don't know, it's really weird, but we've had 2 women we've had a woman who could not ovulate naturally for the first time ever, and get pregnant. We've had 2 girls actually who had eating disorder, who were actually so severe that they had stopped having their periods. Both of them were early 20s. Both of them had not had their periods for more than 5 years, and both of them were told if they ever wanted to have children, they would have to have hormone therapy to have their children. Both of them got their period for the first time in more than 5 years during the process. So that's one thing that happened. And one of them has already had a baby naturally since then. So we don't make these claims. I do not make a single physical change claim that my tool causes physical changes. All I'm telling you is we keep getting that as a coincidence again and again and again. Okay, I myself had arrhythmia where my heart, and I was on beta blockers, and my heart would go boom, boom, like miss a beat and come back with a bang, and it would wake me up in the middle of the night, cause me to hyperventilate, and I was on beta blockers. It took me 7 months digging. Now, I'm not saying unblocking equals that. I'm just saying I did it and it worked. So what happened was I dug and dug, because I'm a very, I am into personal development. I own my shit as best I can. But what was this one thing? It was really bugging me, and I thought, well, all right, I've got beta blockers. I've been to the doctor. I've been told I'll be on them forever, and I've been told it's the only way, and blah, 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 and they can't find out why I do it, So one day I discovered shock. And you think about it, symbolically, metaphorically, it makes sense, doesn't it, to a layman? Just common sense. Okay, shock. What is shock? And so I address shock epigenetically using my process of Creatrix. And when I finished the process and I opened my eyes, I'm like, I feel different. So I stopped having my beta blockers, okay? And within a week, my heart never skipped one beat, not one. So I've been off those beta blockers ever since. So apparently, you know, I'm in a remission stage of something I shouldn't have. I should have. And the same thing with my ulcerative colitis. So I'm not saying this tool fixes a single medical diagnosis issue that you have, disease that you have. I'm just saying we keep getting these results. Now, I could never work out what one person's block is for one thing, so we don't take clients on who want to get rid of physical ailments. All we do is say, you know what, if you want to turn your life around, you want to break your epigenetical, negative mental and emotional patterning, then we can do that. As a byproduct, that may result in different things, like a recent girl I recently did. She's only really young, beautiful, beautiful girl, and, you know, is suffering like 9 out of 10 pain. I said, I won't take you on if you want me to get rid of your pain, but I'll take you on and just clean your system out epigenetically of all of your, you know, the past traumas and things that could be in your DNA, plus also DNA memory, plus also, you know, these issues, your childhood issues and stuff. She said, I don't really have that many, but I don't know what happened. But anyway, her pain sits now at about a 4 out of 10. And it's from an actual physical injury. So it's like, well, how can you change a physical neck injury, you know? But anyway, I don't know, pain sits at about a 4 now. So a lot of it was just the overwhelm and the perception of it that was making the pain intensify. So that's just a little bit of a chat from me, about what I've created. If you're interested in following me as a person, and you'll find me on mazsherma.com.au. You'll see globaltransformatrix.com. I will be releasing a lot of articles now. Be warned though, be warned, they are quite contrarian. They will fly in the face and they will challenge your belief system as well. So if you've come through and you've done psychology, because look, I train psychologists in this, and we've got one now that just sent her letter off to cancel her entire registration as a registered psychologist. She doesn't want to be involved anymore. She actually would rather get outcomes for clients. So she's now taking this, and this is what she wants to do. She's like, why would I go down that track when I can just go boom, close your eyes and it's gone? So I know there's a lot of modalities out there that are so brilliant. Oh my gosh, I used to be a trainer in some of them. Right? And that's what led me to wanting to help others and break people through this.